Welcome to episode 14 of Target Acquired Podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Jeremy, aka Jerbear, and on today's episode, we're going to be going over the results of the second event for the Mid-Atlantic Crisis Cup, as well as brainstorming to create a doubles list for the Berks Spring Assault coming up on April 26th. Let me take it over to the guests that are going to be with me tonight. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, this is Sean, aka Reynolds Rap.
This is John, aka Swooper.
All right, well, thanks for joining me tonight, guys. So first, let's talk about the Crisis Cup event we just had a little while back. Good turnout. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but I understand, Sean, you were kind of in charge of a lot of the live streaming side of it, and John, you were kind of being judge and hosting the event. Sean, do you want to kind of go over the results of the event and just talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So we had 22 attendees for this one. I think it's a little bit lighter than our other ones because we were competing with a con that was also happening in the area. Shout out to Battle to End Alzheimer's, because I have early onset Alzheimer's apparently, and I can't remember what it was. So in this event, we saw the Nova Protocol guys kind of sweep the event on us. They got first, second, and third.
And Best Painted.
And Best Painted.
Man, what a sweep.
And they had 4 in the top 8. So they represented half of the top finishers in the tournament.
I mean, there was 7 of them, so.
Oh, so a big turnout from them. That's cool.
Yeah. They were by far, there was a sea of orange and blue in the tables.
You should have seen the first round setup since we had the friendly fire on so they don't have to play each other. It was basically every table had a Nova Protocol player on it playing somebody else.
Oh, gosh. Surprised you didn't get an error back from Longshank saying we can't do it. Can't do it.
Nope, after the first round it goes away. So as long as they don't take over half the players, they'll be good.
Well, so how did things go with with that many people? I'm assuming there was tons of affiliations there.
There were a decent amount of affiliations taken. We did have the top 2 being Guardians of the Galaxy and Criminal Syndicate, with 4 lists submitted each.
Okay.
Everything else is kind of smattering around a 2 or 1. We did have, I believe it was 18 untaken affiliations. Black Cat was the most taken character. Probably had something to do with that many Criminal Syndicate players. Brace for Impact, of course, was the most taken tactic card. And Scrolls is still hanging out as the number 1 Crisis taken. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, considering the new Crisis cards coming out.
Well, the next 2 most taken were new Crisis cards where, like, Hammers dropped all the way down to, like, the middle of the pile.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hammers keeps on going down. It's a safe scenario, but I don't know. There's more interesting things out there.
So is there something with Scrolls? Is there a reason why you guys believe they're still up there? Is it just because they're 20-point threat value, or is there something to them that people really like that I'm just not seeing? I don't like the push situation because it could go bad for you and you just end up getting pushed into the enemy territory and there goes your person, in the first round. I like 20 points, but I just don't see it being that big of a deal why it's so popular still.
I think
there's no
it's
other drawbacks. That's the reason why. Like a lot of the other, not every other, has a persisted drawback. This is just a one-time, you roll it once, you don't fail it, fine. You fail it, okay, you get pushed.
I do think that higher numbers are definitely more popular now versus before. I feel like a lot of people were going for that 15, 16 area, where now I feel like we're going the opposite direction where we want that 20, 19 point games.
And with all the new Crisis cards, it's funny because a lot of them are 17. So I assumed 17 was going to be more of the go-to threat.
Well, that's just your average.
Yeah, so now the Crystals Secure has become very popular. I know that's one that's taken a lot. I enjoy it. Getting the extra power is always fun. But yeah, I agree with you, Sean, about Hammers. I like them. I don't see them really being... They're just there, right? I mean, it's nothing special about it. It's a good threat value for me for who I play. I don't know how good it is for a lot of other affiliations, though.
Well, I feel like a lot of affiliations are really being pushed into optimizing for 17, considering that is the most densely populated threat value. So if you don't have a good 17, then I don't even know what you're doing.
Praying that it doesn't come up.
That's not a good strategy. You're going to be
That's
playing
true.
17.
You know what surprises me is so low. Now, granted, out of the 22 players, only 17 submitted their lists using like the code. So we have a couple people we didn't get full info from, but Montesi formula is only 2 people.
Yeah, I think people have. It's not so much that attrition is dead, it's that people are tired of playing attrition.
Yeah. I still think it's really good.
It
Crisis,
probably is,
though.
but I mean, what's more fun?
True.
I mean, I do enjoy it just because it's still one of the last down the middle objectives, and that's kind of my playstyle. That's how it's always been. So it helps me out a lot if it pops up. But I mean, the beam's okay. I mean, you can't modify it, can't re-roll anything. It's not really a safe grab in a sense because whoever's going for that middle one's probably going to get knocked out unless you're getting one of your big guys.
Depends
in
on who
there.
you're playing.
Yeah, it depends on who you're taking up there. I mean, I would throw Hulk up the middle and he grabs it, he's safe, you know. But if you're not playing a tall affiliation,
You don't have to
then-
play tall.
So who would be other good safe grabbers for that middle objective?
I've
like
just set
that?
the fucking shield agents up there. You're not getting
Yeah,
it.
there's 1,000 different
Yeah.
scenarios for that. I mean, what John's saying is you can play attrition without playing tall.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, crime shows that you can as well. I mean, they got beefy people at 4 threat value, so you don't have to go super tall with big kaijus anymore. But no, I enjoy it because it keeps people in the middle, and that's where I want them, so I can smack them easier. But I don't think that's
Right.
going to be the play style anymore. So
I mean, you can play that play style. There's nothing stopping you except for you might not win.
well, no, but I mean, if the secures are there's hardly any secures left that are in a middle zone. Crystals have a smaller square, so that kind of keeps you centered. But everything else is a lot of the secures are very widespread now. So
Is crystals the tight square that's like the new
Yes.
sword?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so outside of that one, I think there's a turned version of it that's in a diamond shape, but it's the same like size area.
Oh, I think you'd go wedding party.
That's deadline, right? That's what the P is.
Yes.
I believe so. Yeah, that weird small diamond one. And then wedding party is similar to Mayor Fisk's, right? It's 2 objectives.
Well, the funny part about that is the ones you're naming are literally 2 and 3 for crisis takes. So, like, if you're looking at secures, crystals, wedding party, Mayor Fisk are your top secures, which are the ones, in your opinion, are the like attrition keep them in the middle ones.
Well, I mean, if you have less objectives to worry about, but I guess how many people were taking? I guess I don't want to say tall focused, but I mean, if there was a lot of crime syndicate, I'm assuming most of them were playing Kingpin. So does his leadership affect those 2-point crises?
You mean like the wedding party? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they want to focus on less objectives, right? So them having wedding party or Mayor Fisk does really well for them, I'm assuming.
I disagree. I think if you're playing Kingpin, you want more objectives because each one of your 1 characters counts as 2.
Also spread the enemy out.
Correct. So it forces
Yeah.
the enemy to, if they can either put 2 of their characters on 1 to contest it, but then they're not getting the other one. Versus like if you just have the 2 things, it's a little tougher to control those 2 things. Versus I can just, if I play superpowered scoundrels, yeah, I probably have 3 of those easily every turn.
Well, I know you said there was also 4 Guardians. What was the common crisis for the Guardians players out there?
Yeah, well, let's
I don't
caveat the Guardians real quick. So we had 2 drops. 2 of them were Guardians players, and our bottom 4, well, technically our bottom 3 players are all Guardians. So they did not have a great showing.
Back to crime for a second. They were all playing Kingpin because there is no other leader in the rosters that I can see. So nobody took Shadowlands. Nobody took Clove.
MODOK is in there.
I was looking for him and I
Then-
don't see him.
Eric was playing them.
Did he play him as
So
the
he
leader
must
with
only
them?
he must just he be the only one.
It does not look like he ever played them now. But he had them.
He was on the. I did see him in rosters. Yes, so he must have
Gotcha.
been the only one that had him, but they must have all played Kingpin all the time. Granted, Dan had Crime Syndicate listed as his affiliation, but he only played Doc Ock 2 Spider
Spider
Foes the whole
Foes.
time.
Cool.
Now, Kingpin is a Spider Foe. I don't know how often he gets played in Spider Foes.
You got me.
Yeah. I mean, there could be a reason. He has a throw, he has a stagger. I'm sure there's reasons too, but I haven't played Spider Foes enough to know much about them.
I don't know really kind of what play style they go for.
Mid board. They're very mid range, like which is where the game is right now. So they're not a bad affiliation.
Oh yeah, I don't think they're bad at all. I think they're really good. And they had that big influx of characters too. Plus almost every single character's on a medium base.
Yeah, that's true. That's some good movement on the board, even if some of them are slow. Well, with the Crisis event, I know, Sean, this was our first stream kind of set up. This was like the trial run for it. How did everything go with it? Any takeaways? Anything that you're looking at changing in the future with it?
Oh, as far as streaming goes, I mean, there's some technical difficulties for sure. I think it was very obvious that we always need 2 people casting. It is not a one-man job. And yeah, we've already made a bunch of upgrades to it. We will be streaming from Richmond on May the 2nd.
Yep. And we will
Through
also
4th?
be live streaming from your house on Tuesday to make sure everything works.
Correct.
That's
as
true.
long as the last 2 parts for this computer that I'm building for it ever show up. But
That would be important.
that would be important. But yeah, we'll be live streaming on what is that?
The date.
Anyway,
So the date for Richmond.
no, I got Richmond. We'll be live streaming from my house on the 29th.
Yes, it will be the 29th for your house. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm glad this, the stream started, it's getting there. It's going to improve over time.
I think it went really well. All we got to do is just, you got hiccups, you got kinks. It's their first time doing it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I viewed it every now and then when I was in between my my work calls, and it looked fine, and the audio was great. I loved the in between break periods where you guys had that wide shot to see like the whole event going on, seeing people chit chat with each other and talk. It kind of was a very good in between video to watch, just to kind of see the turnout and see who's all there and kind of try to find certain people on screen. It was really fun. As the tournament went on, how did how did rankings go? Was there any surprises of who kind of came in first, second, third? What was your guys's? What would you end up seeing? Who won? Who placed? All that kind of stuff.
Well, Wyatt ended up taking over first with Avengers, which was a little bit of a surprise because he is known as our Criminal Syndicate player in the area. Burt Miller took it for second with a 50-50 split of Cabal and Winter Guard.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of a dark horse. And then Dan came in third with his Spider Foes.
And who ended up with best painted, you said?
Andrew got best painted. He's X-Men. He's playing as X-Men. He had really, really well done faces. His Juggernaut face was, it sunk into that helmet, but it still stood out. And he definitely killed it on that Rogue model because her face is busted. And he was able to make her look really good. So he definitely deserved that.
Yeah, faces. I'm still very much a beginner in the painting realm.
As AMG's girl models, their faces are very smooth.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard to pick out detail. But then you have like the opposite problem with others. So we're get out of MCP for a hot second here. If you have like 40K, some of those sister models, they're pretty butch. Because you need that detail to paint them, and they're trying to make it easier to paint, but at the same time you're like, that's a dude.
Oh,
they gave him that nice jaw. It's a square jaw.
Well, my issue with the sisters' faces is all of them are making duck face. They have a really contoured cheek.
Yes.
So they're all duck face. So if you actually shade that correctly, they look ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though, is like they try to give them more features so you have something detailed to paint, when in reality, the girl models don't really have that. Like when you look at like comic books and stuff, the girls are pretty smooth faced. That's just how it is, and it's unfortunate that when you put it into model form, it doesn't translate well.
But that was a big highlight for his paint job, was he did really well on the faces then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he nailed like the pupils and everything, and they were like nicely sized. Everyone had them. So like when I went through and I looked at everybody's models, it was definitely his faces that stood him out like above the crowd. Was that he had pupils on everybody. Then they weren't like big black dots. They were like he did it and then he painted around it to even them out. They all were looking the same way. Because I think like Rogue's looking off to the left or to the right. I remember that she specifically was not just looking straight ahead.
That's
And
good.
like
Had a little bit of
Juggernaut's
variety.
teeth are all painted, and you could see they were all separated too. And that's like inside of the helmet. You don't even really see that part because when you have them on the board, you don't see his face.
So that's some good attention to detail then. Talking about the winners and stuff, I'm actually shocked to see Winterguard up there. That's cool to see. Was there anything like in particular he took that kind of just um, surprised you? Any
I didn't
kind of like
have a
dips with
lot.
characters?
Didn't have a lot of time to talk to him, but I know he did. Omega Red was on the table because he is now Winter Guard, but he was definitely playing him with that new Crisis that uses the poison.
Terrigen
Yes.
canisters.
Of the
Um,
poison.
Yeah, I talked to him a
Yeah.
little bit. The most interesting play that's in that toolbox that I just didn't ever really think of was Ultron Metal Tyrant with Winterguard. You can remove the stagger from the grunts.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
and I'm like, oh, all right, that's a cheeky play.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never even thought about that. Did he
Yeah,
have
there's no
Omega Red?
non-grunt. Oh yeah, yeah.
He's one of those ones I hope to see more on the board. He's one of more of my favorites out there. When I was watching the stream for him, I think he had him on the board, and I think he was popping off pretty well with Omega Red for the streamed round.
He's tough. He's got damage reduction. He heals himself. I think that slow movement and not being in certain affiliations, like before he was only in Crime, and now he's in Winter Guard. And I think he's in Hellfire Club, maybe.
Yes, he is in Hellfire. I know that.
Yeah. So like he's in some unfortunate affiliations. I feel like he used to suffer from the Ant-Man problem. Like if you put Ant-Man in other affiliations, he sees the board. But the second he is just like, oh, I'm only an Avenger, and in the one affiliation that already has enough choices, he just gets overlooked. Like I would love him in Shield. But I think it was Omega Red's problem too. But there's a lot of characters that are suffering from that problem. Hopefully they're gonna get like I hope Omega Red's on that list for the May.
Well, there is a
updates.
Winterguard box coming out, so I'd assume that they're updating the cards with that because that's what they said. Who were getting the new cards, right? Were the affiliation packs coming out?
No, I don't think that's how it was. My understanding is in May we are getting the releases. So you're gonna have the print to play releases.
Yeah, that was my understanding. And then you would get the physical cards for them as the affiliation
Right,
packs
but I
come
don't
out.
think he's gonna be in a Winter Guard box because if they're doing a box, it's just gonna be the 4 main ones, I
Who
think.
all, well, except for Crimson, the others should be on the update list.
You're talking about Ursa Major's great. He has no changes needed.
What's his name's not bad at all. Red Guardian is not bad. I don't think he needs a change. I think he's fine. He just doesn't get played because he suffers from the same problem. He's only affiliated with Winter Guard, so you don't play him anywhere else.
I think what's the one? Darkstar?
She's bad.
She needs an update.
Her and Clea, I think, are like some of the worst ones. Clea is on the list of getting an update.
Clea's probably one of the worst characters in the game.
Well, that's what I mean. So I think Darkstar is right there next to her. They're bad.
It'll be.
I hope Ursa gets an update and can get a little bit of play. But then at the same time, I feel like if we update all of Winter Guard and they become too good, you're just going to see them everywhere kind of thing.
No, but I mean, like, it can be small things, right? Small things that can make them stand out a little bit more. Maybe give Ursa some kind of reduction or give him just a little bit more love with, like, an innate ability of some sort.
Yeah, but then I think he still suffers from he's only in one affiliation. So you have to make him good enough to splash. And then we run into, like, Zemo problems and Thor problems.
Yeah. I
And
just wish there
Miles.
was a way to kind of focus the balances per affiliation to try to get the like level the playing field for the affiliations to make it be maybe not everyone's taking crime, maybe not everyone's taking pre-nerfed Asgard and stuff. Like there's a more of a variety because, hey, they're all close to being the same level of good.
Look, a game with this many characters can never be balanced perfectly.
Correct.
Not
All I
perfectly,
want-
no.
All I want is an ebb and flow, right? So give every affiliation their time in the limelight. That's it. Like, I don't feel like Winterguard ever got it. I don't think Hydra ever got it.
My fear is I don't want it to turn into how some of the other tabletop games are out there where there's one affiliation and everyone who wants to win is going to play that affiliation and that's all you get. And
I don't
then-
think we've ever had that though. I don't feel like one affiliation. Like, and now, granted, Avengers for a while was pretty bad with Sam, but there were still a ton of people playing other stuff.
I mean, granted, before the nerfs happened to Asgard, I think that was where my fear started to go. Like, Asgard's going to be the thing now, and you're not going to see anything else on the board except for
Yeah,
Asgard
but
playing.
you think that, right? So I thought the same thing for Midnight Suns, and it didn't happen. I thought Midnight Suns were going to be everywhere. Now, don't get me wrong; they're very, very popular, and Sean saw them all during Adepticon, of course.
Yes, I did.
But in the grand scheme of it, there was still, I think with this game versus other games, there is a lot of when you pick what you want to play, you're picking it for a reason. So like you're picking X-Men because you watched X-Men as a kid, you read the comics, or you just like a single character from that group.
Well, also, any broken character can go anywhere.
Right, exactly. That's the other thing
Yeah.
too, is you can play those characters wherever you want. But I think this game has a little bit more, like, you don't have to worry about it so much versus some other games where, this is clearly the top way to play. This is the only way to play this army, or this is the only way to play this faction, or whatever. I don't think this game has. I think this game is balanced enough where that's not a problem. Because you think about it, like when Vince won LVO, was it LVO with Shield?
Yeah, it was LVO.
That was out of nowhere. And that's crazy that, like, sometimes those factions that are out of nowhere, they still stand a chance. It's a lot about your pilot,
So you don't want to talk about Malekith? Unnerved
Now-
Malekith? That was a problem.
Well, so, like, I don't think it was so much like Cabal itself. I think it's Malekith was the problem. And you were, of course, taking him as the Cabal leader, but that's like Cosmic Ghost Rider was a problem. Malekith was a problem. Thanos was a problem. They struggle hard with these high point characters.
But
it
it
just
seemed-
was a double-edged sword because Malekith made you want to play Cabal in order
Correct.
to actually play him. So then
And they
Cabal was
definitely
everywhere.
did. Yeah, they were everywhere. But even though they were everywhere, you still had a lot of people playing other stuff. Because there's definitely people who are like, I'm not playing that stupid model.
That's the only fortunate thing, I guess, for this game is there's not a super hard meta chase for affiliations, maybe for characters specifically, but not for the overall gameplay for like affiliation stuff.
I mean,
I'd hate to see it go that way.
There is
for-
a meta chase. I think this game's easier to chase meta because you don't require so many models. Because I do think there is a switch a lot of times when people see things like winning. So like Cabal with Thanos was really popular.
But that was based on specific characters making that meta chase go. It wasn't, oh, this affiliation through its leadership is just super broken and everyone's going to play it for the leadership.
Well, it
Deal with
was
the
for the
affiliation.
leadership plus the Thanos. Because it was just you played like those couple of models at low points and they were very, very good.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think there is a meta. There is like the ability to chase the meta and play what we think is like top tier right now. Like at Adepticon, there was a shitload of Midnight Suns. Like a crap load. But they weren't everybody.
Except for my opponents.
Except for all of Sean's opponents.
Sean got all of them. That's what
I mean,
happened.
but like when you broke it down, there were a lot of those players, but then at the same time, there was a smattering of almost every other faction. And when you think about it, there's 28 factions. So if Midnight Suns show up to a 36-man tournament, there's 8 Midnight Suns players, and then there's only like 2 or 3 of all the other factions. It seems like a lot, but then at the same time, it's not that bad.
Now, unfortunately, Wyatt doesn't have a roster list for me to look at who he took, but
He put it in. He did put it in. Him and his first opponent put it in. And then afterwards they came up and they're like, hey, something happened, and Longshanks somehow deleted both of their rosters.
Well,
So
I'm surprised to see him take Avengers because especially last year, it was all crime. Crime Syndicate was the thing for him. And was he the only? Yeah, he was the only Avengers at the tournament.
yeah, he had a good conversation, I think, at Adepticon, and it really like sparked him a little bit to try something, I think, different.
That's
Every
cool.
once in a while, you got to do something different. Like I can only, I love Shield, but every once in a while, it's like, I gotta play something else.
It's good to see a mix up and not just playing the same thing over again.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, so overall, second event, do you guys feel like it was great success?
Great success.
Ready for the next one kind of thing, and any big overall takeaways from it?
I don't think there's. I mean, it's the same events we ran every year. We run 4 of them plus the last chance to go into the championship. I think it went just as well as all the others have gone. I think we've done everybody that's participated or done anything for it. We've all done really good jobs of making this be a regularly high attended event
And
throughout like Maryland, a little bit of Virginia, and a little bit of PA. Like we're all doing really well, I think, compared to if you look at Longshanks for like a lot of other store tournaments and stuff like that. I think we're killing it.
well, and I feel like what this is and what we're doing is completely different than a lot of stores' normal tournaments.
Right.
This being like a circuit of sorts is something I haven't seen yet on Longshanks, at least in this area,
Right.
doing
And it's
anything
getting picked
similar.
up in other areas too, which is nice that this format starts to take on, in other areas, because there's 2 other areas I know that are running circuits the same way we are, where they're traveling to stores, because they all had the exact same problem that we had. And I think this really solves that problem. And I think it's great for people to get out and be able to, enjoy playing new people, different people, than just going to your store and just playing the same guy over and over again. It's almost like mini Novas or mini LVOs where you're traveling somewhere that's relatively close and you get to play new people and you get that experience and that like sense of things that you haven't played before. Because like Bert with his Winter Guard, where we play at my house, nobody plays Winter Guard, so we'd never have any practice in the Winter Guard. But now you go to these circuit events and you have that chance to play against these kinds of factions and players and stuff. And then once you go on to bigger things, you're a little bit more prepared for those Novas and those LVOs.
And I mean, it gets you also out of that safety net of, maybe you are at your local store like the top guy, right? And then you go to one of these events and all of a sudden, man, there's someone that's actually better than you.
Right.
And they taught you a thing or two and you're like, oh, I didn't think you could do that. Or, oh, that's a trick I never thought about. And
Right.
then you take that info with you to one of the bigger conventions and maybe do a little bit better than what you thought you
Yeah.
were going to do.
I mean that the Winter Guard thing is the prime example. I would have never thought of Crimson Dynamo's thing to pull off stagger off the grunts. Those are great little combos that you learn as you play the game and you play new people because they've thought of these things or they've heard of these things, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. So
And I know for our circuit with each event, if I understand correctly, they all are going to be LVO qualifiers.
well, the last 2 we just did were LVO qualifiers. The third one is an points qualifier, so you don't get the full qualifier, but you do get points going towards being qualified.
Okay.
However, that one, once we get to like where we have our events coming up here, we'll have to figure that one out.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there this time around, but the stream was wonderful. I'm glad everyone had a good time with it. I look forward to the next upcoming one, seeing everyone there, seeing what people bring, and maybe we'll have some surprises with affiliations that show up that we didn't think would. It'd be pretty cool to see. With that, though, John, did you want to talk about the upcoming events? Like what's kind of coming up down the road for us?
Sure thing. Let's go over some of the upcoming tag events we have. So, by the time this comes out, this will have already happened, but April 26th, we're going to have the Berg Spring Assault charity event. I'll be running an MCP doubles event up there. If you haven't heard about the Spring Assault up in Robezonia,
Something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's somewhere in Pennsylvania, but you can look it up under Burke Spring Assault, and he has like the best raffles you can think of. All of like the prizes. So you go and you play games, you have a good time, and you get raffle tickets, and that's where all your prizes come from. So you don't really get them for like winning first, second, and third. You're just going up there to have a good time and play whatever you want. It doesn't really matter if you're winning or losing because you're doing it for charity. You get the raffle tickets, and he has so many sponsors for raffle stuff. It is so great. It's definitely worth the trip if you get a chance. It happens every year. It's a lot of fun. We'll probably be there next year too. So stay tuned for that. As we talked about earlier, our next live event, if we can't get Tuesdays working on April 29th, we'll be at Richmond Open. This is May 2nd through the 4th. This is at Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. We will be streaming the singles and the doubles event and maybe the best of the rest. We're not sure exactly what we're doing, I think, for that one, right?
For sure, on Sunday we will be following the top 8 unless and if there's overlap where the top 8 concludes and there's still one more round of the best of the rest, then we'll cover the last round of the best of the rest as well.
All right, there you go. I will be playing in the doubles event. I might play in the singles event. It depends. We're going to see. But there's also, the best of the rest. If you don't make it for the top 8, you still have a chance to, play in another tournament. So you got something to do on Sunday. Our next Crisis event for the circuit is July 26th. That'll be at Bazooka Games in Westminster. This is a singles event. This one is the LVO points qualifier. So this is the last one that I have officially as an LVO points qualifier event. It is our fourth one that I do not have confirmation on yet because I don't have a date. So the next event is the fourth event after July 24th event will be in October at some point. It's going to be at Huzzah Hobbies in Ashburn, Virginia. I just do not have a set date for it right. And then after that, for way further down the line, 8 months down the line, we are scheduled to be at Shorehammer in Ocean City the first weekend of December. We'll be out there running a singles, a doubles, and an affiliation, and maybe something special if I get around to it and I have time. But that's another event. It's a lot like the charity event where it's very more laid back and casual, but it's a ton of fun. Go out there, you hang out at the beach during the winter time, play games. All of our tournaments are night tournaments, so you don't have to get up early. So you stay up late playing MCP with us. It's a great time. I think this is our third year?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, third year.
It's always been fun every time I've gone.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's weird being at the beach in the wintertime, but it is still a lot of fun. And then, like I said, Tuesday, check us out. Stay tuned. See if Sean gets those parts for their computer, because it should be me facing off against Edgelord EJ for our test stream before Richmond Open.
That's all for our upcoming events. Before moving on to our next topic, we'd like to say thanks to all our listeners for tuning in to episode 14 of Target Acquired Podcast. We hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you'd like to show your support, please subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We also now have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel, and any support you give us goes straight back into producing content for you, our viewers. To see more content from us, check us out on YouTube, where you can see our podcasts, battle reports, live streams, and other miscellaneous videos like unboxing some new Conquest models. We'd also love for you to join the conversation with our fellow listeners on Discord. You can discuss the episode, share your thoughts, and just connect with the community. Links can be found in the show notes. Last episode, we announced our first giveaway on the channel. We appreciate everyone who's subscribed and left a comment on episode 13 on YouTube. And now we are going to announce the winner of the giveaway, who will be receiving a Mojo Ball, Sunspot, and Warlock. Congratulations to Osen Gaffney 6348. Please shoot us an email, which can be found on our YouTube links, or shoot us a message on Discord, and we'll get whatever details we need from you to get you your prize. Thanks to everyone for entering, and we hope to do another giveaway soon. Huge thanks to Game Chefs for sponsoring that giveaway.
All right, and when we have those upcoming events with that Burke Spring Assault, I'll actually be playing in the doubles. I got roped into playing in the doubles event because somebody lost their partner, and I still want them to play. So with that, we were deciding what are we going to play. I was pretty open. I don't really care. We're like I said, we're just there to have fun, have a good time. I let my partner pick. I will be teaming up with Panda from Palladium Games. He runs a bunch of the Palladium game events up there, and he has decided he's been rocking New Mutants lately.
Okay.
So we will be playing New Mutants in the doubles. He has a pretty already set 10-man roster. We're kind of just looking for like who are so in doubles you have 14 roster. Each player has 7 characters to pick from, so you actually have an extra 4 characters. Who am I looking at for those extra 4 characters?
You're looking for some splashes.
Pretty much. I have his roster. His roster is basically the affiliation because there's not that many characters. So everyone in the affiliation is already part of the roster. I can pull it up here. Should have already had it ready, but I was unprepared.
So we have Cable, Emma Frost, Magic, Shadowcat, Sunspot, Warlock, and X20 in affiliation.
Now,
so
Correct.
that's 7. Who's the other 3?
He has on here Toad, which I think is a solid pick. He has Ronan the Accuser with a power gem,
Okay.
and Supergiant with a soul gem.
Okay.
Those 2 you need to explain.
So I said the same thing. Supergiant, he has a plan for the New Mutants leadership, basically gets rid of her slowness, so you're able to bring her up and do things with her more often. He had some kind of plan that he talked about, and I wish I could remember it now, but there's like a pseudo safe grab kind of thing with her.
What objective did he? Or I'm sorry. What gem did he give her?
Soul. I think she can only take 1, right?
I'm not familiar enough with her, unfortunately, to know. So.
Soul
Yeah,
is the only one she can take.
Yeah, there's very
Okay.
few that can take 2. I don't know why, but that's what he has in his list. So I told him he can just keep his 10. And from there, we're basically looking for 4 splashable characters, also characters that probably don't require tactics cards. So we're looking for 4 solid characters to splash in there just based around leadership and I guess synergy to help out the rest of the team. Because I think the core of every game is, of course, Magic, because he's your leader, or she's your leader. Warlock, and X.
And can you go over the leadership real quick?
Sure, I don't have it pulled up. But when somebody's targeted, you can pull another character towards them. So I have exact wording. Unless Shaw beats me to it.
No, I was reading the Supergiant, and I feel like I get what he's going for, but it's a lot of commitment to run that as a 4 for what you're getting.
Yeah, I don't think it will see the table too much because I mean, if we're both picking characters, I feel like she's in there, she fills a spot, but I don't know how often she gets taken. Unless we're like, fuck it, let's put her in. I really wish Jarvis would take the out of the spelling. It drives me nuts.
Did you get it or no?
No, I'm looking for it now because I thought it was
all right.
the New Mutants
I got
as the
it.
card.
No, it's just called New Mutants. So it's if an allied character is targeted by an attack, after the attack is resolved, another allied character within 3 of it may spend 1 power to use this leadership ability. Place the character that spent the power within 1 of the targeted character.
So it's a good bit of movement for the cost of 1. That's getting a lot of people around the board pretty quickly.
Yeah. At the expense of your guys getting attacked. That's the
Well,
downside
if they're
to
gonna
it.
get hit anyways, right?
Yeah.
You know.
My first pick was Iceman. Iceman's the one I think I'm definitely putting in the 4.
Yeah, I like Iceman. Also like Mysterio for the surprise.
Oh, that's right.
No crit.
Mysterio.
What's it? Grand Illusion? Surprise
Yeah.
Grand Illusion.
Surprise Grand Illusions. But that requires a card. But yes, I like that one.
I also like Omega Red for that surprise. Here's a poison. But if you do Omega Red, I also like having A-Bomb there for a surprise. Hey, thanks for the poison, and also here's a fist to the face.
Right.
I mean, you also have the option of going the bodyguard route as well. If you're worried about someone getting hit twice during a round or an activation, you have the ability to kind of block one of those hits from coming in that might finish them off.
Yeah, it's not bad. I did
Cap
think
1
about
is a good idea.
Yeah, if you're taking
Who's
Cap 1 though, you're playing him as a leader.
Yeah,
I don't
if you,
think you ever splash Cap 1.
who are some of the other good bodyguards that are out
I
there?
thought Black Bolt was the good
Black
one
Bolt is not
because
bad.
it's cheap.
Colossus is not bad.
Well, Colossus is a taunt, but granted, he
You'll be
will be in
within 2.
position to taunt.
Yeah. Unless it's a range 5 attack, he can taunt.
Yeah. And there's always the cheap options of like Honey Badger and
You got Luke
Okoye.
Cage. I mean, obviously the reverse bodyguard, but do you think Gorgon would be a good option for it? I mean, he gets close and can hit like a truck.
I mean, he's not bad. You could set up beams pretty well.
I actually don't mind Honey Badger for the other ability of just getting Ankle
Right.
Biter within 1.
Well, that's with the ankle biter thing made me think of Shocker.
Shocker is another good one.
Now, with it being during your opponent's activation, I know one that would be good for movement shenanigans would be Gwenom. She's got that clap back when someone else has been attacked, and after being placed for that turn and she does her attack, she can move long afterwards. So if you're trying to get to an objective halfway across the map, it's a good option to get to an objective within your enemy's turn.
It's not bad, but she's going to struggle with power.
She is. And also, in doubles especially, there's going to be a higher percentage of energy attacks on the table.
I guess it would depend on who you're playing against, like what they're bringing to the table. But you're correct with energy stuff. But I guess it would you'd have to kind of place her right, just like anyone playing the venomized kind of people with the Web Warriors. If they're ever playing Web Warriors, you got to be careful with it. Have you thought about taking any of the characters that have bodyguard within their cards to do, whether it be like what's that, Heroes for Hire, or Karnak has one now, I believe, as well, and Gorgon has one off the same card. Or are you strictly trying to stay away from any kind of tactics cards with things?
I'm trying to avoid tactics cards because New Mutants already have like a bunch of cards that they take, and then you have all your generic, of course, like, you know, Brace or Patch Up or whatever ones you want to take. I do think that sometimes, though, you don't have a choice. So, like, if I pick Mysterio as the 4, Grand Illusion's coming, period.
Yeah.
It would be silly not to have Grand Illusion. It'd be the same thing like if you were going to play Rhino or something like that. Like, you're going to take Rhino's card, or Juggernaut. You're going to take Juggernaut's card. I don't think those are good options for this, but...
Oh, you're going to drain so much power on Mysterio because you're going to also be activating tricks and traps so frequently with that.
Yeah, that's the problem, though, is you need the power.
I mean, you do get a power every time you roll a blank.
Yeah.
And what Crisis cards are you guys taking? I mean, there are options out there for Crisis that will give you extra power and might help out with some of those struggles.
Yeah, the New Mutants card, is that locked to New Mutants only, or is it 2 power to anyone?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's locked to New Mutants.
And did you want to take any of the big guys? Like, I know we were talking about this briefly before. Like, Apocalypse is a fun 6 because his problem is movement, and this leadership solves his movement issue.
Yeah, he's not a bad call.
I know you like Gladiator, but Gladiator doesn't really benefit hugely from this leadership.
Right. Tomorrow Soldiers is the one that gives you the power, and that one's for New Mutants characters only.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. The practice round one, though, is that's the when allied character rolls dice. If the result contains no crits, the character may play this card. The character that played this card may reroll any dice, including skulls. That's pretty good. That's pretty good for like the big characters. Because if you don't roll a crit, you can be like, all right, let's do this. This is before crits explode.
I wonder if you're looking at playing a higher point value, because you do get 4 extra points in the threat level, correct? For doubles. I wonder if Nova's a good option for there potentially being a ton more characters on the board now for beams to do really well. And with him being a long mover, plus if you teleport him 3+1, and then
Nova's never had issues getting to his targets.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, he'll have a lot more movement capabilities.
But you don't need it, though. Like, it's like wasted movement. Where, like, other characters need that movement, there's definitely better targets than Nova, because Nova can get wherever he wants to get. Just like Juggernaut. Juggernaut can usually get, or Rhino can usually get where they want to be without needing that extra. Versus, like, Mysterio usually suffers hard from movement. Another one, I thought it was Black Cat.
Just for the surprise steals.
Yes. so that way you don't have to move closer, steal, and then you can't get away. This way, if this is like the last attack, and you can put her in range, she has the power. You just hop up, steal, run away, and then if you have the power to like move your extra 2, get you a long movement and a 2 movement to get out of there.
Yondu might not be a bad choice for this then, because Yondu has that steal whenever an objective would be placed within 2 of him, he picks it up instead. So if someone's about to daze one of your characters that has a token, he can just yank it.
Does it cost power to do that?
Just 1.
So it's like picking it up.
Yep.
Huh.
As long as you had 2 power on you, you'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time I've actually found a real use for Yondu.
I like that. I like that one. I really like Iceman. I think I like Mysterio.
Have you thought about taking anyone who has the reroll capabilities for an aura, or giving out like a superpower for, spend 1, reroll 1 dice, or, modify dice for people?
Well, the only negative to it is it's after the attack is resolved. So, like, for instance, for Yondu, that's fine because the token's now there. He can just yank it. But, like, if you're doing I want Zemo next to him because of the reroll, the attack's already resolved, so you're just protecting for the second attack. Well, the other one that we were talking about was Blob. Now I'm looking at the character list.
Yeah, so I guess the sense is you guys are looking at it in a sense of the attacks are done. The actions are over. You're not worried about that second attack coming in on somebody. You're looking at the reactive stuff all after the actions are.
Well, we're also looking at like if there isn't a second attack, like somebody moved up and attacked you. Because most likely most characters aren't getting 2 attacks, probably. Unless they're charging. But I think Enchantress was another one I think we previously had talked about.
Oh, yeah, because she has a steal on her.
And you could do the same thing basically with Black Cat and Enchantress. Loki 1 for the surprise superpower.
Surprise root.
Suckets, surprise root. I think the characters with the surprise things afterwards, like especially Iceman and your Yondu thing, and I think maybe Shocker, are like the solid ways to go with that.
Actually, I need to figure out the timing of the Yondu thing actually works right.
Oh, that's true, because it's after the attack is resolved. So, like,
yeah,
when do you drop it?
Yeah, when do you drop it? Do you drop it immediately?
I don't have an answer.
So if you drop it immediately, then no, Yondu's thing wouldn't work unless you were already within 2.
I think you do drop it before the attack part is resolved.
That's probably with the take damage step if I had to guess, but I'm not.
That's what I think it is. I wish I had just like a timing chart in front of me. It's a pain in the butt to look up, I feel like. Because for some reason it wants to give me all the timeline rules, not the actual timing chart.
Oh, that's useful.
Right. When I put in timing chart, it says, hey, did you want to play timelines? No.
Is that in FAQ section, you think? Or is that its own thing?
Well, so if you go to the steps, so let's say we're at step 10 is calculating successes and failures. Step 11 is resolve effects that happen before damage is dealt. Apply damage is step 12. A defending character suffers damage from the attack. A character can only take damage equal to remaining stamina. Any excess damage does not apply. The target does not. Well, okay, blah blah. The attack is resolved. Then that step 13 is the attack is resolved. Step 14 is resolve effects that happen after the attack, which is attacker effects, defender effects, and effects by crisis cards. So when do you drop tokens?
Assuming that's part of the daze effect, but so the question is, when do you hit dazed?
Correct. Dropping objective.
It says when they're dazed, they drop. Okay, so are they officially dazed when they are out of stamina then?
That's what I'm guessing. So I'm guessing it doesn't work.
Yeah, I would guess not unless there's a weird.
Well, that was unfortunate. That's a cool idea. I'll look more into that one then when we're not sitting here with dead air.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, all right. So let's take him off that list then, unless that works. Unless I find out a reason that works, we'll take him off. So Iceman, Mysterio,
Black Cat.
But yeah, I think Black Cat's a good one because she's cheap too.
I don't think Enchantress is a bad one either. If you want to double up on that.
But then I feel like I want either Shocker or Omega Red. And like another character I like having is Weapon X, but I think I'm just biased.
I mean,
I don't
for the
really
fun of
feel
it,
like...
I think Shocker would be fun to try in this scenario. Because when else are you really trying him out and potentially having his abilities work really well?
Yeah. I always like Fury's always a good option, I feel like, too. But he doesn't really benefit too much from the leadership. He's
I mean,
just
he can
good.
get his knife attack in there more often. That's about it.
True. I feel like we should have put in like a big guy because we don't have one. So maybe APOC is that fourth one.
I
But
like
then
him.
we just swarm the board with like Shocker and Omega Red.
Right. So with that, do you have your crisis locked? Because you need to make sure that you're playing like all the 5 wide extracts in order to make this work.
I let him pick, so
And you don't know what he picked?
I do. I have it right here. We're playing Deadline to Destruction, Guardian, Save, Shire, Empress, and Style, Infinity Formula. For extracts, we're playing Scientific Samples, Unexpected Guests, and Spider Infected. So we're really staying at that 17-point mark. So we'll be playing 21 as an average.
Interesting. I feel like Senators would have been a better pick than.
Yeah, I
Wedding
mean,
Guests,
it's
but-
not like locked. I'm sure tomorrow I'll be like, we should play this and we should switch it up a little bit. Let's change this, or whatever. But either way, like we're playing New Mutants, so I'm, not too hopeful to begin with. So for my force, so Iceman, Mysterio, Black Cat, we are torn between Shocker, Omega Red, and APOC. I think, Shocker doesn't get played, so maybe we play with Shocker.
I mean, he will fit in pretty well with his ability in here, too. So, I mean, it's a good trial.
You're swarming the hell out of the board.
Yeah.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a solid choice. So the 4 to add: Iceman, Shocker, Mysterio, and Black Cat. Only one of them and basically needs a card because the others don't even. Iceman has a card, but I don't know why you take it. Shocker and Black Cat don't have cards.
I like Omega Red so much more than Shocker, though.
Yeah, Shocker's a 3. That's my only.
Yeah, but
main
I mean,
reason, too.
Shocker's ability only affects on the next attack. It doesn't help on the first attack.
Right.
And the whole idea was usually they're getting one attack into you anyway, so it's about getting that after effect.
Right. We'll go with Omega Red, and we'll see how it goes. So all of the New Mutants: Ronin, Supergiant, Iceman, Omega Red, Mysterio, and Black Cat will be our final choices.
You're not taking the Supergiant in your roster, right? You're gonna let him figure out how to play that.
It's in his 7 if he wants to take it. Sure. I'm not playing her. No, I would assume I'm taking the 4 that I chose plus 3 of the New Mutants characters, and then he can have the splashes he chose plus
the rest of the New Mutants.
The rest of the New Mutants characters.
I mean, it's good to split the New Mutants up because one person can't have all the affiliated people. It won't.
That's not true. We've done it.
It won't work out that way.
It does.
Every time I've tried with the doubles, the points don't.
Well, that's what happens when you're playing with 7 and 6 fucking point cost characters.
Taking my 5s and my 6s.
Yeah. Try not playing all kaijus. It's pretty easy.
I don't know what that means.
I'm sorry. The lowest cost is your 5s. You're taking 5, 6s, and 7s.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, how do we make affiliation work?
Oh, this is a tough one, huh?
How do I get Immortal Hulk and Thor into Inhumans?
You got a 2? Is there a 2 on that affiliation? That'll work. Just give me these 3 models and I'm happy.
Well, I think that'll be it for the roster. Stay tuned, see how well we did, if any of these characters actually got played. I feel like you do take a lot of characters in doubles. Like each person probably, even though you have 7 characters, I feel like 2 of them probably don't get played.
I bet you it's even high. I bet you it's 3.
Yeah.
Never play.
Might not. We'll see. Stay tuned and you will find out how well we did and whether or not these characters got played or not.
Yeah, I look forward to it. So, all right. Well, we're almost through this episode. But before we leave, I did want to go over one last thing. I was kind of looking back at the things I have around the house and a lot of the models I started making and putting together and starting to try to paint up. And I found my old towel that you guys kind of dug me into 40K when I first met you all. And it got me thinking about war games and how people kind of get into them and what kind of keeps them going with the hobby. and kind of where it leads them to as far as, do they seem to stick with the same kind of game? Do they end up branching off to different kinds of war games? What kind of drags them along that course? And so my question to you guys is, what really got you involved in wargaming? Was it someone who introduced it to you? Did you just see it at a store when you were young and were interested? What kind of got you involved with it? And then after that, what's kept you going with it? Like, what kept you throughout your adolescent and young adult years of wanting to stick with the hobby and keep playing these kind of games?
Sean, you want to go first?
Sure. So for me, I got into it just because I moved to a new neighborhood and didn't know anyone in the area. And there was a store that was playing it in the mall near my new house, and the owner of the store gave me a couple models after I showed some interest in it. Stuck with it after that. It was, I guess, the tactical part of it and the fact that it's tangible is what keeps me coming back to it. You could always play StarCraft or something if you like tactic war games and you're fine with computer games, but I work as a programmer. I stare at the computer all day. I love something that I can physically touch rather than clicking around on a computer.
And when you were younger and you kind of first got into it, did it seem easy to kind of get into this and start up collecting models, or was it really a struggle for you?
Absolutely not. Honestly, the community is what brings up additional players. Without a community around you to help support and help keep you engaged and also help you with some old model donations, I feel like as a younger kid, you don't really stick with it.
And did that happen for you? Was there a good group that you kind of fell in with that at these stores that kind of helped you along and kind of kept you interested in it as you went, or was it mainly just friends that kept you going with it?
My friends were the friends that I made at that store.
Okay, cool. And then what was kind of like your first introduction? Was it 40K?
Oh yeah. 40K is like the marijuana of wargaming.
You get that taste, right? You get that taste.
And like I said, the owner of the shop gave me a taste for free. The first taste is always free.
Yeah. Well, and seeing as you're playing MCP now, obviously you've branched out from K. Kind of what brought you that transition of going to other war games? Like, was it just models? Was it rules? The way they play? What kind of branched you off of 40K to go towards other games?
Oh, that's just John.
That's someone dragging you along for the ride, eh?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could have just kept on playing 40K, and I still do play 40K. It's just, John has his weekly get-togethers, and you guys were all playing MCP, and you can't really play war games by yourself. So
and John, the good drug dealer that he is, said, "Hey, man, I got something to show you, and I think you're gonna like it." And you got a taste of MCP, and now I think you play that more than you do 40K now.
It goes in cycles. We are on the MCP cycle right now, but we'll switch back to Warhammer for the World Storm and stuff like that in the fall.
So, John, how about you? How'd you start out? Someone says that you dragged him along. Was it the same for you? Did someone kind of drag you into this, or did you kind of find it all on your own?
No, nobody dragged me into it. I found it in high school. Another kid had a White Dwarf, which is a Warhammer magazine. It had a picture of old metal Cadian Imperial Guard fighting old Tyranids, like old metal Tyranids. So it was a very old White Dwarf. And that just hit me right where gets me kind of thing. Because one of my favorite movies of all time is Aliens, and that's all I could think of. I was like, holy shit, there's a game that has like xenomorphs in it, and like the old Cadians were dead ripoffs of Colonial Marines, or vice versa. So that really got me, and I was like, man, I'm game. Let's do this. And the local hobby store had some stuff, and that's how I started. Was playing Imperial Guard. And playing Warhammer. That's my introduction into tabletop wargaming.
Were Cadians all metal back then? Were they?
Yeah, they were all metal.
Only? Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't get them.
Yeah, I played Catachans because the Cadians, the metal stuff was too expensive.
Yes, it
compared
was.
to like the plastic stuff was so cheap back then, compared to now. Because you were getting 20 guardsmen for $25, and now it's like 10 guardsmen for what, 50?
I bet she's gone up even more than that.
Yeah, it's GW got very greedy. It's unfortunate because I think that keeps also a lot of people out of the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the player base right now is sunk cost fallacy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some way, and they try to fix it with combat patrols and stuff. I don't think that's the way to fix. I think to fix it is not to be a greedy shit.
Well, so was the community for you the same way? Was it one of those things that kind of kept you coming back? Did you mainly just play with friends, or were there a lot of like just people that you knew from hanging out at the local store that kind of kept you coming back to play against them?
I did the same thing I've done to all of my friends, where I have introduced them to crack, and I got all my friends from the bus basically to play it with me because I showed them the crack and I gave them a little taste through a white dwarf, and they all played with me. And then from there, I went to we had a local hobby town that played. We went there, and then we ended up going to a place, and all these places don't exist anymore, but there was a place called the Dugout Zone, and it was called the Arena at one point.
And that's my home store that I started at, was the Dugout Zone.
We all went there and played there, but it was definitely more me getting other people to play it than someone getting me to play it.
And seeing as Sean has said that you're kind of the one that dragged him along to other kinds of war games, what kind of got you interested in hopping the 40K ship and kind of just bouncing between a bunch of other things? I think you told me at one point you play Malifaux as well.
Yeah, once I got to like Hobbytown had, models, and they had some Warhammer and stuff. But once you get to like a more legit, I feel like, game store, so like the Arena had other games, and it was like there's other tabletop games because White Dwarf only shows you Warhammer.
And
so
what was like the draw in of those games to you?
Something different. So like Malifaux uses the flipping deck of cards system. I really like it. Most of the time it's models. Models is what gets me into games, and models is what will kill a game for me. So I've played a ton of different miniature games now that I've known they all exist, kind of thing. But Malifaux caught my eye. We were wandering through a random game store in Pennsylvania, and they had like second edition metal Malifaux models, and you could play a crew that was all showgirls, like casino style showgirls from like steampunk era. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Look at these models. And that got me into that one.
Yeah, that's what got me into Malifaux as well, was the models for it. The Dreamer, and I really like the steampunk theme of Leviticus's crew.
Yeah, models I think is what does it. It's like Bushido. I like the models in Bushido, and I like their system. So like the game system honestly is like almost a secondary to me, where like I can't think of a model game that really turned me off because of models that I don't play.
I'm the exact opposite. It's game mechanics that draw me in more than models get me in the door. Game mechanics get me to stay and buy something.
That's probably true too. Like Infinity, I'm not an Infinity fan. Not that the models aren't great. I just think they all look exactly the same. Their Cyberpunk's not really my jam. So that doesn't get me interested. So I never really even gave it a fair try. Like the game system might be great, but I don't want to paint the models and I don't want to work on those models. So it kind of turns me off.
See that, and that's the exact reason why I can't play Bolt Action, because Dave from the Dugout Zone tried to push Flames of War on me so freaking much back then. And I'm like, no, I don't want to play that stupid game. And then I look at Bolt Action, I'm like, oh, little tanks? Yeah, we're not doing that.
Now, I like Bolt Action because I like World War II stuff, but their original models before they started upgrading things to plastic, those models were fucking rough. Like they had horrible faces. So I never really played it until they started pumping out more plastic models. Once the Italians got fully plastic models, I was like, oh shit, these are pretty cool. I like World War II stuff. Granted, they're in my pile of shame. They're built, but none of them are painted, and I've never played a game. But I like them. I mean, I got a bunch of games that are like that where I bought it all. Like Guild Ball. I really liked Guild Ball's models. I did not like the game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you when it comes to what piques my interest. Now, between all of our gaming group, I am the hatchling of everyone. So for me, like 40K 7th edition, I think what you guys introduced me to.
No, you were not around for 7th edition.
Then it must have been 8th. It was either 7th or 8th that I was in.
It was 8th, because 8th was like 2016.
Yeah, and I really didn't know about tabletop game or like war games prior to meeting you guys. I saw it a little bit at the mall. They had a Warhammer store in the mall, but I was too intimidated to go in. I mean, I was 14, 15 at the time. I'm looking in there like, it's probably not for me. And I just like walked past it. When you guys when I first met you guys and you guys were playing at the house and showing off some of the armies and I saw the Tyranids, I was like, oh, these guys remind me of the Zerg from StarCraft. I was like, they're pretty cool looking. And I had at first thought about getting them and ended up going with the fish people, those Tau, just because of the robot mech suits. But the models is kind of what drew me into it until I realized how big of a commitment it was to actually get an army started. I think I got a little intimidated by 40K. So had a little bit of it, but when John, you kind of started passing us along to other games, I know we tried out Bushido, and I know we had, what was the one we found at Gen Con that we played for like a hot minute? And
Oh,
we
Free
walked in.
Blades that we
Yeah,
played for
Free
literally like
Blades.
30 seconds.
Yes. Models, I loved all the looks of the models, but game mechanics just weren't doing it for me. I think I've really found the tabletop game of choice for me with Marvel because I feel like the mechanics, even though they're simple, there's enough variation to the mechanics to make it enjoyable every time I play. So 40K seemed very overwhelming, just I guess because of having, you know, 50 people on the field at one time, depending on what kind of army you're playing. But
50? What? You're playing all
like
elite.
You play
orcs,
custodians?
right?
Yeah, you're playing
Orcs
custodians
or
or
something like
knights or
that.
something for 50. But, I
Yeah.
will tell you this, Jeremy. Out of all the wargaming communities I played in, the Warhammer community is the most friendly and engaging community, and it's probably because of exactly what you said, that upfront commitment that you have to make. Every player around you in that community has had to make that commitment. So there's kind of like this level of endearment in that community that everyone kind of can bond around.
Yeah, and so I mean the models are slowly coming together for me to have some kind of army one day here, but
You mean the one that you're borrowing from me every day? When you
no,
play
no,
it?
no. That's sitting at John's house. Yeah, no. I did buy myself. Oh, what the heck are these things called? There's Xenothropes. I did get some of those for myself, so I don't have to borrow yours now. But yeah, I think that's the one thing when I first met all of you and kind of started getting involved with this stuff. I went, man, this is a huge commitment, and it's a lot of money to buy all these models now, and it was kind of just intimidating. So when Marvel eventually was the game we kind of fell into, I went, oh, this is great. I just need 10 models, and I'm not painting the same looking character 20 times or 40 times and hoping I get the color match right. And
That's what
you
definitely
know,
did it for me. Like DK, I can paint one model really, really well and I like it. And the second I have to copy that, even if I write it down or do it, it doesn't come out the same.
It
I
doesn't
mean, like,
matter. When you paint
it
100
matters
of
to
them, it
me
does not
though.
matter.
I know,
They
but it
blend
matters to
in.
me. That's the thing, is I see it.
yeah,
It's
you say
actually
that,
better
Sean,
when
until
they.
that one guy walks past your guys' table as you're playing. He goes, "What's wrong with that one?"
No, they look more realistic when they're not all perfectly uniform because they're on a battlefield. They're going to take different scuffs and different scrapes. They're going to have different fading on their armor. A lot of the different armies are like comprised of previous armies and different retinues that were combined back together. So it's okay that they don't perfectly color match.
Yeah, it bothers me.
All right.
I think it's okay on like certain things, but then when I do like Space Marines, I really want them to make sure their color is pretty similar. And that's where I struggle is like, oh my God, I got to paint 100 fucking Space Marines the same color. And it's like, it kills the color for you sometimes too, where you're like, I don't want to paint green ever again kind of thing.
Well, I definitely can get behind that part. It does kill the color for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had to do that Dark Angels army last year, I just don't want to paint
Right. I think that's what
tan ever again.
Marvel does for me is it's really nice to just like, hey, once I paint this guy, I don't ever really have to copy it again outside of, the 10 Captain Americas they want to put into a game. But
You should be used to them by now, right?
yeah, but at
Paint
least
'em.
they're all completely different, and it's okay to paint them differently because they're never on the field at the same time.
That's true. No one's gonna be able to see it.
You can put Sam Wilson and Captain America on the board at the same time.
Sam Wilson is not a Captain America.
They are different.
You guys can argue it in the comments, but Sam Wilson is not my Captain America. I don't like it. He's not a super soldier. He shouldn't have push on his shield throw. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know how he's swinging that shield around the way he does. It's crazy to me. I mean, I wanted to get your guys' perspective of kind of like your roots, where you came from with the game and wargaming. Again, I'm a newbie to a lot of this stuff compared to the rest of the group. I'm just kind of looking at like the future, like just younger generations coming up to get into these hobbies and what kind of struggles they might be dealing with, and the struggles that the community itself, like the wargaming community itself, might have with trying to get fresh blood into the mix, because there might not be a generation that wants to get involved with this as heavily as what like our generation might have, due to either not having it prevalent at like a storefront. Granted, I think we all had malls growing up, and I think that's all gone now. So outside of hearing it from a friend or hearing it from, a video game, like the Space Marines video game came out, I'm sure that bumped up its popularity a little bit. There's not many ways for young people to learn about this stuff or become interested in it. So
get your kids into it. That's what you can do if you have kids. Other than that, it's up to the game companies to figure that out. That's why they're paying Henry Cavill to say that he loves the game.
That's right. I don't know. Do you think that's actually a good point? Do you think he actually played before kind of like bringing it out there to say to people, or do you think he actually got paid to start saying he's a fan?
I think it's secretly more popular than you think, and that like when we were growing up, me and Sean were playing it, it was definitely not cool.
It was not cool at all.
No, there wasn't
a lot of things that were cool.
No,
back then
I mean,
cool.
Yeah.
you definitely
being a
kept your
nerd was not
models
cool.
in your closet. You did not.
You mean your Barbie dolls that everyone laughed at you about?
Now, I
That's
was
right.
never one of those guys, though. I do know a lot of war gamers that hid their Warhammer. I was never one of those guys, but it didn't help. You were still a fucking dork.
Yeah, I didn't really love it when we were having a tournament at the Dugout Zone, because the spillover tables would be set up in the common area of the mall. And I'm like, fuck. Every time someone from my high school would walk over and be like, hey, what's this? It's a game.
Right.
How you get nerd?
But I do
But,
think
actually, people weren't like that at all. They were more like, wait, did you paint all those? Like, yep, sure did. They're just kind of like staring at it like, I don't understand why you wasted all your time painting that instead of going out and getting laid.
Right. I think when they walk up to you and you're in the middle of a game, you're surrounded by those other kind of people. Usually you don't get, you wouldn't get made fun of as much versus like, I remember I brought a Warhammer to my school. Like I was in high school and I had to bring it to school because I was going out afterwards to play. So I needed it with me. And like, you have a thing of like little fucking toy soldiers with you. So yeah, you probably got made fun of.
Loser.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I guess so, whatever. I like doing it. So, and I think it was popular because there's a lot of celebrities that apparently played, but it didn't come out for a very long time that those celebrities played.
So do you know a really interesting closet celebrity that played it all the time, and I got to actually see him at the Glen Burnie Games Workshop HQ?
Are you talking about Vin Diesel?
No, I'm talking about Robin Williams.
Oh, that was my second guess. I was debating between the two.
I could see that. I could see him.
He was a huge.
Oh, yeah.
He used to go into.
He played
the games,
Eldar.
Yeah, he used to go into Games Workshops whenever, he had a chance and just play random people in there.
Uh-huh.
And I think with celebrities now being more open about it, it's because we're in a time and a culture where D&D is popular now. You got Stranger Things kind of bringing that to light. You have. Obviously, Witcher became a thing. Like a lot of your nerd culture is now taking root and kind of becoming a thing where you're not shunned about it anymore. I mean, look at anime, how far that came into society. I mean, we have kids openly reading manga and stuff in schools now, and they're not being made fun of. I mean, I remember seeing the table of the weebs getting constantly picked on when I was going through high school and
that was
school,
me.
You didn't want to be associated with those people, but now it's like, whatever, everyone knows about it. Everyone knows what what Demon Slayer is and all that stuff. So, it's amazing how big of a difference we have now with the kind of things we're interested in and where it's kind of gotten to. And hopefully it becomes then something that will bring more people to wargaming and bring more people into the fold. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I wanted to go over for the end of this. I wanted just a nice little social thing and kind of figure out where you guys started with stuff. So I hope it was enjoyable to you, and hopefully it was enjoyable to the listeners. And if you got interesting, cool stories, feel free to throw it into the comments. I love hearing from other people what their experiences were, how they started in wargaming, and what they found to be the most exciting part of it.
What edition did you start in, Sean? That's how I judge how old people are.
End of second, beginning of third. So I technically started in second, and then because I got a Metal Furiosa Dreadnought, and then immediately after that, what was it? Black Templar Dark Eldar starter box released, and that was the first big box I got.
Yeah, that's where I started, with third edition with the Black Templar Dark Eldar box. That's always like my judge of when did you get started? What edition? What starter set was your first starter set?
So at what edition can you start saying back in my day?
I mean, third is pretty old.
Third is.
I mean, we're on what now? We're on.
You guys are in the Grandpa A40K.
I mean, we've gone through 7 editions of Warhammer, and I've played almost every single one. I did not play 9th.
I did not play 8th. But I saw 8th and went, wow, that's some stupid shit that you're doing. But
yeah,
I don't know if anything's going to be quite as dumb as 5th edition with Flying Circus, which was the Demons cohort with the 2-up invulnerable save Screamer bomb.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I liked that codex. It was ridiculous, but I really liked that codex.
I did love the Warp Storm.
Yes, that's what I want
so
back.
Good.
Yeah, I want more random to come back, but I know we're going the opposite direction. But it doesn't matter. I barely play Warhammer anyway. So.
All right, guys. Well, it was a good one tonight, and thanks for indulging me with my question and stuff.
Yeah, no problem.
John, you want to send us out?
Sure. Target Acquired Podcast is brought to you by Game Chefs, your ultimate destination for all things tabletop. Whether you're looking for a new exciting board game, assembling your squad in Marvel Crisis Protocol, or building the perfect Warhammer army, Game Chefs has everything we need. Miniatures, dice, rulebooks, and the best community of gamers around. And just for you, our amazing listeners, Game Chefs is offering 15% off your next purchase. Just use the code TAG2025, that's TAG2025, at gamechefs.org and save on your next adventure. Roll some dice and level up your game at Game Chefs. Link and code can be found in the description. See ya!